Hello, my beautiful friends. Today I would like to talk about fermentation, and I've dove deeply into the subject of fermentation. I'm fully in it. I actually am traveling right now for my children's spring break trip, um, but I have my ferments, my other babies now with me as well, so I can burp them. I couldn't leave them at home for 4 days unburped, so I'm in it. I'm fully in it, and I'm loving it. I am so thankful for the opportunity that I can, always stay interested. Always, the universe always brings me something new, something that fulfills me and completes even more of the picture of my understanding of this universe and how it works. Because at times it is different um, than a mainstream view, right, of certain things. And I'll give you examples. But the universe says, okay, well, um, I know you know inside, but I will show you how it works. And then it brings me to these sometimes scientific, sometimes not so scientific explanations of all these little miracles and all these little knowings that I have, that I observe outside and that I have inside internally. It's like how it's made, so to speak, right? I have a question, internal question or internal knowing, and I just don't know how to explain it. Like, I'll give you a good example. For example, with COVID, I always thought that there is a possibility that we're too sterilized to fight new viruses. Well, not new, but mutated viruses, because I think everything is kind of a mutation of one thing to another. Nothing is disconnected. Nothing is really new in this world. It's like we've awoken something that was asleep. And fermentation, by the way, did I mention that I studied with an incredible human being, an incredible teacher, an incredible alchemist, Pascal Bodar. So if you're interested in fermentation, he is the guy to go to. If you're interested in food preservation, he's the guy to go to. And just everything else, learning about foraging, food, wow, your mind will be blown as to his genius and the extents of his knowledge and extents of his curiosity. So it just never ends. His, he's now working on he has 4 books out, I think now, and he's working on one more, and that one is about seeds. And during one of his classes, I saw the seeds in little like pouches that he gathers from all around, of like foraging seeds, and my mind was blown as to the abundance that surrounds us that we are wasting by not utilizing it. Now, coming back to the process of fermentation, to me it's not just fermentation, right? Although I am absolutely in love with the processes of preserving food and the flavor profiles, having new flavor profiles. I'm very excited to introduce those things to others, like my kids, maybe making a new syrup, new soda. So it's kind of like doing something in the physical, but also opening up a whole new world in the physical, because I was more of a forager until I was introduced to Pascal, who is just taking the foraging to a whole new level. You gotta check him out, because I can't speak about him. It'll take a whole video. But to me, it is also an internal discovery of a new world, right? Because now all these bells are ringing. Bells are ringing like, oh my God, this is why I know this to be true. This is why I know this to be true. And now fermentation explains it in such a way that I can explain it to you, some of the things that I know to be true. One of examples, right? And this is all a knowing that is not scientifically proved, right? But just I know to be true, right? So let's just play with it, right? Let's play with these ideas, because I feel like sometimes we get stuck because we're not allowing our mind to play, because we say, hey, no, this is not true, right? The moment we do that, it's kind of like we close ourselves to the potential. And one of the examples that I will give you with this sort of thing is COVID, right? When COVID arrived, everything inside of me was telling me that this is not something new, you know, because I was at the same time I was discovering that the recycled DNA theory, and that's just information that comes from the universe to me. And I was going through that lesson at the moment that every one of our cells holds all the information of the world, holds everything. And we kind of have to unlock it, unwrap it to open up its potential. Or sometimes the environment is created that the potential opens up on its own because you created the right environment. And voila, this is exactly what fermentation teaches us, well, what Pascal taught me about different types of fermentation. And I said, well, how do you get this bacteria? How do you get that bacteria? How do you get this bacteria? And one of the incredible things about his answer was this, that most of the things, right, whether store-bought, well, store-bought not so much, but especially in the wild, they are their entire universes of their own. So you have everything in it, right? Whatever bacteria you need, it's already in it. And in order to bring forth a certain fermentation, certain type of fermentation, you have to create the right environment for whatever bacteria you're trying to bring forth, right? And that's something that I've been exploring and I've been talking to about for a very long time, is that everything we have is already in us. It's just we have to bring it forth, bring it forward. And that includes bacteria, viruses, and so on and so forth. So when somebody would say that something was brought from somewhere else, to me, that's externalizing it. And that might be true, right? If, like, let's say the virus was brought in from China. This might be applicable for the people who are in the process, in that stage of the process, right? Meaning they still externalize things. They still believe that things can come from outside and enter their environment. If they believe it, then that is true for them, right? Then that is their reality where they live in right now. To me, at the moment of when COVID started, I was already in a different reality. This was right after my intense, like, awakening jolt, right? I was awakening. There was a jolt where I was just like, holy macaroni, I am in the matrix, and I understand this, and I understand this, and then COVID arrived. when COVID arrived, I already received the information, probably in my aura or internally, or yeah, still talking about the aura, which is external. Let's talk internally. So internally, I've created some sort of environment that I've unlocked that information about COVID. Probably I didn't think it in my mental space yet. It didn't come in from inside to my mental space yet, but I already like half a year to a year prior to the big fiasco, I was my kids were still very little, and I was already letting them touch and feel everything, because I knew they need to be exposed to as much different bacteria as possible. So I wasn't sterilizing already anything. I was allowing their napapa, their things to drop, and for them to pick them back up if it was quick enough, from the floor, because I was like, we need to start building immunity to many things. I don't know why I felt that way, but I was like, let's go to the forest, let's go here, let's go there, let's expose ourselves to the world, let's pick up as many the different, let's interact, right? Let's create these environments where we can activate all these different responses from within our body. And when COVID arrived, I was like, not a no-brainer. Like, I was touching things. I wore a mask around people who were uncomfortable with me not wearing a mask, because I completely understand what it's like to reside in a different world. I have respect for all the dimensions and for all states of mind, right? Because if you're in a certain state of mind, I cannot convince you otherwise. Just like if I'm in this state of mind right now, it's very hard. It would be very hard for you to convince me otherwise, right? Everything in me would reject. So that's why I always reverse my positions and see whether I can place myself in the other person's shoes and look at the situation from their point of view, and then respect, give them respect. So obviously I was wearing a mask, and I was staying away from especially people who are nervous about it. Thank goodness there were people who were just like me, not many, but we actually took our children right into the forest as soon as we could, and spent a lot of time in fresh air, running around the forest, basically just being free-minded and free from having to sterilize everything. I'd never sterilized anything at all. And that brings me again, I used to, when the kids were, when they were first born, we're so scared, of introducing their new environment to our environment, which we consider to be dirt, or it's such a big topic. Let's have another conversation on that. But we are creating these absolutely fake sterilized environments within our homes, right? Where we're trying to keep the real environment out. We're cleaning the walls, we're cleaning the floors, we're cleaning like the dishes, we're cleaning. We're keeping the real environment out because we think that it's dirt, right? We're completely separate from the environment. But then when the awakening happens, you start allowing the environment to come in, your microbiome starts changing, and then the process begins where you're slowly relaxing a little bit about, letting the dirt from the outside into your apartment, right, or house. And then you're starting to go outside more, and then more of this alchemy happens, more of this exchange with the environment happens. You're exchanging microbiome. Then you want to become a forager. You're like, well, what are these things? It's a natural process. And then after becoming a forager, you're like, well, what do I do with all of these things? We're so abundant. How do I preserve all this goodness for later, for when it's not in the season? And so the process goes with you becoming a part of your environment, of you breaking down these walls of this paranoia about having things separate from the environment, because the dirt is really earth, right? Like dirt on the shoes and all that stuff is really earth, and the only real pollutant, right, which is not dirt, pollutants are the things that we use to separate the environment from ourselves. Those are the pollutants, and it's not the dirt on your shoes that is the dirt well, yeah, you know what I mean. But going further into the topic, this has been such a long time coming, so there might be a lot of information packed in this video. Maybe I'll unpack it further later, but I will just bring it to you as it is right now, just because it's overpouring. So, fermentation. Fermenting wild foods, wild-crafted foods. I'm not talking about any fermentation, right? Of course, it's amazing to create a store-bought sauerkraut and bring forth certain bacteria, explore the process, enjoy watching the process, and then enjoy eating that, and your tummy will now have all this good bacteria in it, right? But imagine if you do that, but with the food that was not grown from a genetically modified seed, right? Because most of the things that we buy now in the store, there are genetically modified. So whether we're going to ferment them or not doesn't necessarily mean that we can, that they have even the potential within them to have all these different bacteria and all these different cultures within, because most of the time they were sterilized, they were modified not to have them within them, right? So you can bring forth just some things, but not necessarily everything that you could if you were fermenting foraged food. Now, that's a whole completely different realm, right? And you can start anywhere, but the real fun begins is when you begin to really connect with your immediate environment, your immediate 360. And I mean not inside your home, but outside of it, right? When you first entering nature and you're beginning to forage and eat, right? And you're becoming one with the universe. And then you're storing, you're fermenting, you're getting to know each other even better, even closer with your environment, because you're bringing forth, you're playing with it now, right? So you're unlocking the information that's within the food, then you're bringing it into your body, therefore unlocking, creating a certain environment, right? So I'm bringing a certain bacteria, and now I'm unlocking more information within me, within all of my cells. I'm bringing forth all of these different organisms, right, that also hold information, and all these different knowings then unlock in your mental body. It's an incredible process. It's an incredible process. And one of the absolutely incredible potentials of this is horizontal trait exchange. I will try to explain it to you in a way that I understand it. There is some scientific terminology that I'm using, but that's just because when it unlocked within me first, right, when I received this piece of information, this incredible knowledge, after that I started receiving some videos on it, right, so that I can explain it. It's kind of manifesting from inside out. And I mean, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've probably experienced these things, right? It used to be that you have to say something and your phone shows you that sometime later, right? But notice that a lot of times you will think something, right? And you're not even voicing it, and your phone shows you videos on that and stuff, because there is no border really. And your phone is a part of your environment. It interacts with you, right? It's an extension, it's a tool that helps you interact with your environment. And this, the phone tool, it not only hears you, but it can, I don't want to say read your mind, because it's a very strong concept that will have to be unpacked later. But yes, you know, your mind language is a language that is detectable. So there are tools to interpret what you're thinking. Let's put it that way and just leave it there for now, okay? I promise we'll talk about it later, and I promise I will try to explain it to you how I understand it, but it's a part of the telepathic communication. There is a field where your thoughts reside, and you can just tap into that field, right? But let's get back to fermentation for now. So when you are an alchemist, when you are a curious person, when you see that there is more to life than what you see and touch, right? Very interesting things begin to happen. And for me personally, I kind of glide through life through these different learning these different skill sets, right? Diving deeply into them, becoming an expert in some of them, but then I have to dive out and become, you know, and go deeper, continue to be curious about things. And when I do so, when I'm brought by the universe, brought by my internal universe to experience something new, to dive into a new skill, to understand a new field, right? It's like going from one sphere, like literally sphere, invisible sphere, and diving into a new sphere, somebody else's sphere. Like it's kind of like Skywalker. I don't know, but this is more of a earth walker, right? And when I do so, I take on the traits of the person or a skill that I'm interacting with, right? It's an absolutely incredible thing. It's been happening to me since I was very young. I take on people's accents. If I start hanging out with you, I'm like a sponge. I feel your energy. I know, I don't want to say I know your thoughts, but I very quickly read your body language, and something inside me, I become very much like you, right? I connect closely right away. And I noticed my son, one of my sons is like that. It's a certain archetype of these very magical beings, these very magical people who are taking on the traits of others very, very easily and quickly. It's kind of like you are a vessel, you are an empty vessel, and as long as you're nearby somebody, you're exploring, you get curious about somebody, it's like you ingest them inside yourself, and you're experiencing life through their eyes, right? You're experiencing for moments, not all the time, but you're that connected, you're that into it. If you notice, I'm very passionate, and that's how I am through life. If I'm interested, I'm very passionate. And then you'll see me, people always used to ask me, like back in New York, I used to have girlfriends. Like I have this German girlfriend, and she speaks with a German accent. And anytime I spend a little bit of time with her, that's it, I speak with a German accent. Back in Belarus, when I was growing up, you know, I knew that I was going to come to United States because my mom was already here. It only took us, you know, a little bit of time, but meanwhile, I was already practicing like American accent, so I was speaking in Russia, and everybody's like, "Oh, you like probably speak perfect English." I'm like, "No, I don't, but I know how to speak with their accent, right?" And then when I was in New York, I mean, I've worked in so many different fields, you know, starting from restaurants and in front of the house, in the back of the house in restaurants, and then I worked on Wall Street. I worked, I mean, there's just so many different spheres that I've entered throughout my life, and I just take on the traits. So I become that for the whole duration of that interest, right? So I've noticed there are a lot of people like that. They just don't necessarily know what is happening to them, and a lot of times these types of people are being looked down at by many others. Why? Because they're considered to be unstable, meaning inconsistent, right? But they are consistent in their inconsistency. So if you know what I mean, right? Because they're constantly traveling from one sphere to another to understand the world better, to take on the traits of a certain sphere, and then they hold on to some traits, and most of the time it's like shedding skin for the snake. You shed all the traits completely, and you move on to the next sphere, to the next endeavor, so to speak, with your brand new baby skin that is ready to take, like a chameleon, that is ready to change colors based on the environment that you're being newly exposed into. So I call that, I've heard the concept in science is called horizontal gene transferring, and that happens with bacteria, right? So basically, if we're human people, beings, believe that our traits are transferred generationally, right? So I got my traits from my mom and my dad, and they intertwined. And the way I was explained is that in the genome, right, there's a new combination, and then some traits will be muted and some will be opened for this lifetime. Some traits will be muted from my dad, some traits will be muted from my mom, some will come to the forefront, and so this new unique genetic trait code is me, right? And all of the lessons that I have to go through. Now, that's one way of thinking it, and I believe that is called like vertical transfer, right? When you go down generationally, like a root system. Now, bacteria transfer that information differently, and it's called horizontal trait transfer, right? So it's kind of like, let's say if I see you on the street, I will shake your hand, and all of a sudden by me touching you, I will get your hair color, right? So that would be kind of like the bacteria. Now, I think that that's what's happening to people that are like me, and it's not as deep because where I can actually touch your hand and get your hair color, because I just don't believe in that yet, and there is so much mental blockaging, right, that would need to be unpacked and to allow that to actually come forth, and I'm not looking for that, right? I already am sponging enough for me to actually hermiting away a lot because, or being in nature a lot, so that I don't have to interact and take on the traits of others, right? People like that are usually, they like being alone for that reason, not because they don't like people, but just because we connect so easily. We connect very easy. And not only we connect, but we also, God, I hope you can hear me. I'm going to open up this microphone. It's making me a little worried that after all is said and done, the sound might not be there. Oh, did I just lose the... Sorry, guys. Oh, it went somewhere. Oh, it's here. All right. So I'm going to move the mic just to make sure that we're getting what we need to get. Yes, people that have these qualities like to be on their own, because it can be quite overwhelming. I believe that we in society call these people empaths, but I think that it's beyond what is an empath, right? What is beyond the word empath is just that you're sensitive. I think that it's much deeper than that. I think that's the beginning of the horizontal transfer of traits and information, right? It's when people are boundaryless, when we don't have so much boundary within us, that we actually become one easily, right? We become one with the people we interact. So it becomes very important who we interact with, where we go. I used to physically get sick from just being in the room with people who are mentally not feeling their best, right? Who are darker energies. I would get physically sick immediately, where at some point I stopped going to like parties, going outdoors, not outdoors, but going into social things, because that's how I felt like I'm picking up those energies so easy, and I'm then getting very quick physical reaction that it's not worth it for me to do that. But coming back to fermentation, I think that we are capable of having these horizontal gene transferring qualities between each other, but because we are constantly sterilizing everything, constantly putting up walls, we're constantly separating ourselves from the environment, then that's how we stopped that horizontal trait transferring, and are now relying solely on the bloodline trait transferring. Now, with fermentation, it's huge, but I will try to explain. With fermentation, what we're doing is we are retraining our microbiome. We're showing our system. We're introducing bacteria who do that horizontal gene transfer. So basically we're de-sterilizing our microbiome, which has been completely sterilized, I believe, even with fermented foods that are commonly readily available at the store. If there are not foraged foods, the likelihood of them containing everything that you can learn from is very unlikely, because things, as I said, are genetically modified from the seed, right? So most of the seeds that are sown into the ground nowadays, a lot of them are already genetically modified That's why you never find a wild pear that looks like a store-bought pear. You'll never find a wild apple that looks like a store-bought apple, right? I mean, look, if you go to pick to Whole Foods, right, and get your Honeycrisp apples or Gala apples, they always look the same, right? Yes, it says that they're organic, but they always look the same because their seeds are genetically modified to produce the same looking apples. Consistency, right? The consumer desires consistency, so the system came up with a way to give you consistency. There we go with that danger of consistency. All right, I understand that being inconsistent is not very popular, but it's also very explorative, and in a way it balances out all the very consistent beings and processes. Is, you know, everything is balanced in the universe afterwards. It's what you're going to explore right now is all that matters, right? You might be in the process of exploring consistency, and great, good for you. Or you might be in the process of exploring finally, or just being, you know, introduced into inconsistency. And whichever part you are exploring right now, my suggestion is enjoy it, don't feel guilty for it. If you are inconsistent, embrace it. See what's great about your inconsistency, right? Because there are great parts about being inconsistent, being you know, liking all the things and not knowing where to dive first. There is beauty in that. You are open to the potential of life. I mean, that's huge, right? When you are already set in what you're doing, you are becoming consistent with it, right? You picked one thing, you're becoming consistent. That's also great, right? That's beautiful. Both have, in this universe especially, right? Both have the right to exist. Not only the right to exist, but both are needed, right, to balance each other out, because they are part of the same exact thing. So whatever side you're on, fully dive into it, enjoy it, love yourself, love the process, appreciate it. Coming back to the store-bought and wild-crafted ferments, by creating wild-crafted ferments, we are introducing processes into our microbiome that have never played out in front of us and have never played out within us. So you'll notice, right, that all of a sudden you stop getting new ideas. You are stuck in a rut because there is no new processes going on outside of you, no new processes going on inside of you, and so you're feeling stuck. You're feeling repetitive. You're feeling like you're not expanding outward, or you're not expanding inward, not contracting inward, which is the same thing. It's not like one is good, one is bad, right? Going inward is just as beautiful as going as expanding outward. Now, where am I with this? So when you're introducing wild foods with the ones that are not genetically modified, right? When there is a whole new universe that you're introducing to your microbiome, and especially if you are unlocking those processes or bringing forth certain bacteria, wild bacteria, like, or wild yeast into your system, all of a sudden you are showing the bacteria that's inside of you that, oh, you can act like this, right? And they transfer these traits horizontally between each other, and it's like all of a sudden you have these knowings, this new information just open up inside of you, because you've introduced these new organisms that are, you know, wild and free, and they're like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that, and it's just an amazing thing that happens inside. So I have been exploring ferments literally for that reason, because I see that another thing, I see that when we are eating the diet, even if it's an organic diet, but from the, you know, 8, roughly, so to speak, 8 ingredients that the universe or our grocery store has provided to us, right? And then you can do whatever you want with those 8 ingredients, right? We are at the mercy of at the mercy of those who control the environment, right? So if I feed you the diet of 8 ingredients where I genetically modified the seed, right? I know what's in that seed. I know what's possible, what's impossible. Then I can say, well, then I can play with the environment. And if you know fermentation, I highly recommend you take the class with Pascal. You will understand that if I will control the environment, like temperature, right? If I will control, if I have control of temperature, if I have control of sugar, if I have control of like alcohol, then I pretty much can almost guarantee what's going to happen inside of you, right? I can almost predict how you're going to behave based on what is going to come forth out of you if I am if I know what you ate and I know how to control environment, because you become that fermentation vessel, right, where inside of which all these processes are happening. But if there's only 8 ingredients, I can, you know, tweak things very minorly to make sure that what I want to come forth will come forth. But if I give you the entire universe to eat, then it's going to be a little bit harder for me to, you know, bring forth what it is that I desire. Basically, I'm not as much in control of you, right? So I have to work harder to bring forth the things that I want. So that's another point to consider. Well, another book that I'm reading, and again, these are I'm reading these simultaneously, and they all are interconnected. So you know, all these super bacteria, if you think that things are coming from the outside, and all these super bugs, right? They are they figure out, because, you know, we don't mutate as fast, right, as the bacteria. Bacteria are what are they? Aren't they born pregnant, and then they multiply, divide, and by the time we lived an hour, you know, they already lived like a couple of centuries, right? There's many generations that already passed. So imagine how much faster they evolve. So when we are taking meds to fight off the bugs, right? They figure out very quickly what the meds are, what the combinations are, right? They're cracking the code, no problem. They're evolving to be immune to whatever drugs, you know, you're taking to prevent yourself from getting infected, let's say, with the bacteria or virus. But then what happens is they basically they crack the code to your microbiome. But if you're eating wild foods and wild fermented foods, you are and like a diverse diet, you are creating these impossible to crack combinations of goodness with the inside of you, right? impossible to impassable. I like to say impassable. I noticed that, and it makes so much sense, right? It's like not possible to pass, impassable. Combinations of vitamins, minerals, new information, new bacteria, wild yeast, wild this, wild that, right? It's just so much information that the bad bacteria or the like superbug virus, whatever, cannot break it down, right? It cannot break it down. It's too complex. It's gonna turn around and move on and go elsewhere, go to a person who is who has a much simpler code to crack. Now, that's if you believe that things are happening from the outside, right? That things are happening to you, which they are if you believe so, right? This world is designed that way. You are an amazing manifester. So controlling what you believe or basically will make it easier to know what's going to happen in your environment. But when you don't believe anything, or you're open to changing your belief systems, believing new things, trying new things, then it's a little bit harder, and miracles happen, right? All around you. But if you believe that things are happening to you, then that's one way to explain it, all right? That you can then ingest things, and the superbugs will not be able to translate that information or break it down, and they will move on. Now, if you are at the stage in your journey where you believe or you're understanding that things are happening, or everything happens from inside out, then then again we're coming back to talking about activating certain traits within you on demand, right? So if I only have 8 ingredients within me, all right, then I'm like, okay, well, I want to activate this one and bring it forth. I want to activate this one and bring it forth, but there's just this many combinations, right? And my world, no matter what, will look very much the same all the time, right? And all the magic will be hidden just because I don't have it in my gut. I don't have it in my microbiome what to bring forth. But if I start introducing all these wild foods, all these new microbiota, all these yeasts and all these new organisms that are, then interacting with my microbiome, I can bring forth something new that will then extend into a completely new environment around me. So it's kind of that simple, and nevertheless that complicated, because when you start foraging, you actually need to learn a lot about your food. You need to learn about different types of plants. What are they? Are they edible? Are they toxic? It is a process, but it is a fascinating process, and it is so worth it. And with that, I am going to say goodbye, and I will catch you soon. Bye.